Hello, you beautiful people. We're back once again with the Trackmania World Tour MEA Regional number 3, the last one for this season, or stage, whichever way you want to put it. I'm your host, Greedy, once again, and besides me, the man who doesn't really need an introduction. He had a blast last time, and he's gonna enjoy himself again. It is Altruism. How are you doing?
Oh man, I'm excited, Greedy. I've been here. This is my third regional in the MEA region, and every single one of them has just got more exciting. We had some really intense matches, Molotov versus Foot, who have obviously secured themselves their top two spots. But those guys even pushing each other to the limits last weekend. I can't wait for what today and tomorrow have to bring.
Yeah, there is a lot to talk about, of course, as always. That is the name of the game. But the important part is, of course, to already mention that the points, the global tour points, because for all of those who are following or have been in the mix, of course, as well, already know that most, with we take into account the regional points or the points they've gathered, Foot Esports and Molotov Gaming are pretty much assured to be in the World Championship spot. But it's the other two positions where we have a few contenders for, namely, for example, Southern Speedsters, CI, and Split Academy. So those are the three teams looking to get into the top four. Of course, maybe matchmaking can throw in a spanner or two, but those are the three teams you might want to keep an eye on today because they're pretty neatly packed there.
Yeah, I mean, 2 points between those three teams. It really is anyone's game at this stage. And I think the person who comes out in that fifth spot is going to be heartbroken. Only top four going through. And so they've all had their moments of brilliance. We've seen teams on the up, Split Academy, otherwise known as Let Us Cook, was looking so powerful last week. And they're the ones currently in fifth, but they definitely look like a team that could overlap either of our other two.
Yeah, that is at least what we're looking for. For those who don't know, Southern Speedsters at the moment on 11 points. CI on 11 points and Split Academy on 9. Of course, as mentioned, matchmaking can make a difference. So even if you somehow end up 5th, I mean, gotta put that matchmaking right into point because if they're so finely packed there, any point can make a difference. And at the moment, of course, knowing, of course, what campaign nets this season we've had, then maybe, you really gotta put in the effort to just get all the points possible.
Yeah, every point really does count, and it's so cool that matchmaking still gives that last little bit of an option to teams that don't do as well as they would have liked today. All it takes is one tree in the wrong place or something, and you could have your hopes dashed here, and then you just got to go home and you got to work for the rest of the season over and over. I mean, it's been 6 regionals, or this will be the 6th regional out of the
Yep.
2 stages. I mean, the guys have been putting in the work over and over, and we've been seeing that progression, that work coming into how they're approaching the maps. Maps are being decided much more on the finer hundredth or thousandth of a second margins, as opposed to, the big calamities where 3 people knock themselves off the map.
Yeah, it's basically at one point you sort of run out of places to improve at. So everybody has their sort of a limit, You can sometimes fine-tune things, but, as time goes on, we've already seen as well, for example, like we had, as you mentioned, like Molotov Gaming when they played against Split Academy, we had some insane matches. Even Molotov Gaming, well, the control, of course, absolutely insane. And of course, the matchup we actually have on our display here in a moment will be CI versus Southern Speedsters, the two teams that are actually competing for that World Championship spot as well. So, bit of an already, bit of a hustle and tussle to sort of compare the might of the two as they come in. But that will be the match we'll be looking forward to as well. But I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one because there is opportunity to be taken, but who's willing to take the most? Maybe risk it a bit too much, or they will never know until we see the match, of course.
I mean, this one is got to be the grudge match, right? We're starting in the upper bracket. You do not want to get sent down to the lower bracket now. It makes it such a difficult run all the way through there. Got to at least get through the first round. And I mean, right now, CI, historically, the less favored team. When they went up 2 weekends ago, I think it was, or 3 weekends ago, it was Split Academy versus CI. And at that stage, Split Academy took that matchup 4-0. And so CI in their last chance or in their last match that we saw them on stream, needed to do something. They needed to get that work in, and then they needed to improve dramatically. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Southern Speedsters, because effectively, I don't know about you, Critty, but I'm believing that Split Academy has the ability to really push through, punch through that points deficit that they've got and take the third spot. It's kind of up to these two teams that we're going to be watching right now as to who takes the fourth.
Yeah, and with that in mind, well, there's not much to wait for. We already have the pick and ban started. So let's get into the game. We get to start off. It is a best of 5, as always. We start off with a nice warm up to begin us as well. We see, or is it? It should actually best of 7. I think it should be right. Yeah, I think it is best of 7. Well, either way, doesn't matter. We get to see maps to be played. That's the most important part. We see Control and Vortex out. Pool, Airwalk, Frosty, and Sinuous to start us off. So definitely the 4 maps already secured in the bag.
I'm impressed. We get to see Frosty. I really enjoyed watching that the last time. That was a great bit of fun there. And then the rest of them, not really any sort of surprise. Pool is going to be another interesting one. We don't get to see that very often. Airwalk, very temperamental map where those last couple of bounces can really throw someone off. Then something like Sinuous off-row. These are the standard ones that we're very used to seeing. Then, of course, to end it off with Grip, that would be probably home turf for both of these teams.
Yeah, but we don't have control. We don't have control. It's banned. The best map so far that we've seen in the MEA Regional is not going to be delivered in this match, so we have to wait for that one to come around, but because that was indeed already banned to begin with. So, you know, it is what it is. We get to see it in warm-up here as Huba Bibi is driving it, but yeah, it is a bit of an unfortunate case where we won't be seeing this map, as you get a bit of a nice picturesque view of it as well. Take a last candor at this. You won't be seeing it in this match, at least.
You're taking this so personally, though, Critty. We saw it almost every single one of the matchups in our last regional.
But it was good.
I think that it is good, and it also offered some of the closest matchups. That was the one between Molotov and Foot. All took place on Control. So you can be sure that sometime in the rest of this weekend, we're going to get to see more Control, especially, I want to say when Molotov and Foot face off against each other. That's obviously going a little bit too far, but that has been the story of every one of the regionals so far. We are going to be going on to Pool for our start. What do you think of Pool?
Pool, crowd favorite. It is a consistent map. It is very nice to drive as well, and we've seen some heartbreaks already as well. But hopefully not for these two teams, as CI and Southern Speedsters go on the map. I'm looking forward to this. Of course, it's a nice warm-up map. You know, there's nothing really complicated about this map. The only, I would say, the most difficult aspect is perhaps the canceling your wet wheels as well, and making sure you get through the pool nicely. But overall, I think it's a nice warm-up map to begin us.
What that means, when you say it's a nice warm-up map and that there's not a lot that's complicated, it does mean that if you start dropping positions or time, it's so difficult to rely on your opponents making those mistakes. There's not the big plays like Grip or Control or Airwalk where you can be like, okay, they're probably going to mess up the identity. I just have to play consistently from now on. That's going to be interesting as Wandicio taking the last position by quite a margin. Huba Bibi managing to punch through to the front by at almost 2/10 or over 2/10 of a second already.
Yeah, they are close, but it seems that they are going to keep these positions. Ragnar tried a bit to go for it, but wasn't able to. But CI start off with a victory, and that is a good way to start you off on their own map pick as well. So that is a good opportunity here. But yeah, overall, nothing really amazing happened in this round. It was mostly just quick pace, no major mistakes, and that was a nice way to start off. Bondesio did fall off a bit towards the start. Maybe he had a bit of a clip or not the best lines, but overall, I mean, everybody's sort of in the mix to the extent of the gaps they had, of course.
Yep. I mean, maybe that's the thing. Maybe CI has picked this because it's not the most popular map that we see constantly from teams. And so maybe that they've just practiced the lines really well. They're thinking that this could be the finer edges that they've honed is going to set them apart from their opponents. It's not doing too well right now. They're only picking up second and third. Trident currently leading the team. And Trident, big shout out to him. He's been in charge, one of the admins, getting the MEA Discord up and running, really building the community together. But unfortunately, he's been put under pressure here so far. holding still at 4,000ths of a second just until the last moments.
Yeah, had a bit of a slide out there, went a bit too aggressively into the identity, so it allows for another victory for CI. I mean, Trident has been in the mix at the moment, so he definitely can put in some effort to deny some points here for CI, but and Bontesio has been cooking towards, but the second half of the map is where it sort of has been falling off a bit. Maybe, as I said, it is mostly a warm-up for these teams as well, and we gotta take into account that CI picked this as their first pick. Usually when you take a first pick, and Trident really hits the wall there on the corner. Usually the first pick should be a mandatory win. It really cannot be any other way.
Yep. I mean, why else pick it, right? So you've got to get your best map, you've got to refine it, and I like the fact that they've chosen this. They're running it well. Hubabibi and Ragnario managing to pull quite far ahead of their opponents. This is the biggest deficit we've seen so far. Bondesio, the closest for Southern Speedsters, and he's still 3.5 seconds behind. So pretty much just academic at this stage. CI going to be picking up their first ace of the weekend.
Yeah, that is a clean-cut win as well. But Trident had the wall incident, and Bondesio had a few incidents of his own. But, you know, overall, you gotta get into the match somehow. I mean, they've taken 2 points to begin us, but CI is already on a track point. So, you know, make it a back-to-back ace, and that is fine as well. And I have reason to believe as well, a bit of information from production as well. Trident is actually playing on a console at the moment as well. So, you know, if there's any console Andes, you know, there, if they want to give it a go at some point, maybe a bit too late for this season, but next stage, you know, maybe next season, get your buddies in, get to practicing, get good at the game, and you may never know, you might be actually on the bigger stages of Trackmania as well. So, you know, it's never say never is the case.
Yeah. And in other words, there's no excuses. Oh, I don't have a PC, so I can't compete. Trident is out here proving that right now. And currently leading the charge. He's only really got Ragnario to worry about. Hubabibi taking a big dive earlier, and that's going to definitely cost CI their ace at least. But Ragnario doing so well here at the end, navigating the water, and then checks into the wall, giving Trident back that spot. And Southern Speedsters is still in this, managing to pick up more points. And yeah. They got the victory.
Yeah, it is a victory for them. It is a damage limitation. I think if there's any order you really want to make, it would be a nice serving of double ace. One for Bondesio and one for Trident, one each. That would be 2 aces in a row. And looking at the moment, at least start, looks promising. Hubabibi is still in the mix, had a nice exit from that line. And Ragnarinho is there as well. All of a sudden, like, Southern Speedsters were on an ace position, and now all of a sudden they're back in the mix again. So definitely a competitive map, but Bondesio goes a bit too ambitious, does clip and hits the lights. Definitely not the light at the end of the tunnel you want to see, and for Trident, that's a wall you don't want to see. So unless something miraculous happens, it seems that they're going to need more than Jesus at the end of this, because this is an ace for CI.
Yeah, this is very significantly an ace. Unless somehow these guys drown underwater in the pool, they have pretty much secured themselves the first round. Really strong showing for CI on their map pick. It's exactly what you'd expect. Southern Speedsters.
Hubabibi, what are you doing? That's naughty right there. Naughty. Bit of BM on the line, knowing the Trident and Bondesio were far. Still gets the ace. Oh, that's a bit of a big boy move there, I must say. Bit cocky there, but, you know, sometimes you gotta play towards the crowd and your opponents.
It's a mental game, man. You're going against your opponents. You gotta just be able to do literal loops around them at the end of it. But now we head to Airwalk. This one is the Southern Speedsters' first map pick, and a tricky map at any stage for any of these teams. And so it'll be very interesting to see what they've got in hand. And yeah, I'm wondering if CI has practiced this identity enough to really actually even finish the race in most of them.
Well, that is to be seen, of course. As we said before, these are the 2 teams that are contesting for the World Championship spots as well. And on paper, of course, so far when we look at the previous regionals, CI has always finished above Southern Speedsters with comfort when we compare their results. So, logically saying, it should be CI taking this match, everything considered, but you know, you can always have a thing or two happen, and it is Southern Speedsters map pick, so again, your own first map pick should be something that at least you should give a bit more of an effort, or at least a bit more of a battle when we get into the later half of the match, of course.
Again, we see a very familiar side. Bondisio fighting it out versus Ragnarino at the back. Habibi versus Trident, neck and neck in the front. Actually, Ragnario now taking that 4th position, but still 2 halves of the field as we head into the identity. A bad jump comes out of Bondisio, the only one to not make it. And Habibi, actually, no one out of the top 2 made it. Somehow, at the very end, CI managing to pull off the ace through both of Southern Speedsters falling off the map.
Yeah, it looked very promising, but the respawns is where it kills you, because it's a very costly mistake. Once you respawn, you sort of know already, and I really hope somebody also respawn with me. Otherwise, it's a bit of a mud, and most likely gonna be 4th place. And we see CI immediately take advantage of it and secure them an ace, which is very good for them, of course, with the Southern Speedsters map pick. I mean, that's just the perfect start to anything, and if they can keep that going, I mean, that this track could be pretty quickly over. But we can see Trident is really always up front in the mix.
Yeah.
It's just that always a little thing may not go according to his plan.
Oh yeah, and that's a lot of pressure. When Bondisio is not really challenging the other 2, you're kind of going, Trident's the only thing separating us from an ace. Trident or a big mistake. I think that's what Bondisio are going to be relying on right now. We see the first 2 launch through. They managed to both at least get through. Very nice start. Bondisio sneaking in ahead of Ragnario, just 1/100th of a second behind. But a pretty clean round for all of them still. And this time, it's Southern Speedsters picking up more points.
Yeah, and it is a similar scoreline to before. We had a 4-2 in the previous map as well. But I would say definitely favoring, or at least at the moment, looking a lot better for Southern Speedsters. That was a clean round, only a slight difference in pace, but it looked very promising. And if Bondisio can keep in the mix, I mean, 1 respawn can make the difference, as I said. So as long as he keeps, you know, right there, as long as he has like the names and the cars in his front, in his view, should be all fine. But of course he cannot always rely on mistakes, as Ragnar does hit the checkpoint. That's but survives even after such a big hit.
Yeah, and Bondisio still didn't even manage to make up the distance to close that, take advantage of that play. So it's still CI holding 1st and 3rd as we go into the identity. This is where Bondisio are going to have to hope that someone from his opposing team does not make it. Unfortunately, everyone cleanly through. And again, this time, CI take the victory.
Yeah, that is looking very good. That is definitely, CI are definitely prepared. They are in the mentality of it. We see like a few moments of a few hiccups in and there, but overall it's been pretty good for them, and they haven't really been, well, pushed, I would say, to their limits. Of course, apart from Trident, who is in the clip there. God forbid, as soon as I try to say something positive, it just never works out. Either way, at the moment, CI are in an ace position, and Bondisio is the only one to really put them apart in front.
And it makes it difficult, right? Bondisio hasn't really been challenging the whole time. Still very clean here, but basically to try and eke this back, to rip this back into his hands, takes the second place for now. Habibi, the only one ahead of him now, still going to have to rely on the identity.
Yeah, but he really needs a respawn from Habibi, who I believe is actually respawned. So if Bondisio can actually take 1st position, that could be perfect. But his teammate comes in and secures that front position for him. So it is a victory for CI. What a great way for Ragnar to just push a bit more and to secure that 1st position, and helping out his teammate Habibi in the run as well.
Slightly lower height means you make contact with the spring pad earlier, and it's such a sneaky way and a very fine margin. But it keeps CI now within 2 points. They just need a victory. They need 1 person from Southern Speedsters to have a bad round. Single respawn from SS will knock them out of their own map pick, and maybe getting caught off guard by how well CI has managed to prepare for this map.
Indeed so, but Habibi has a bit of a mistake at the start, but we see Trident getting a no slide and now is also fallen back to 4th position. So it was looking very promising with Habibi, who has been one of the faster on the map, making an early mistake, but he gets a bad slide there as well. So it's Pondesio and Ragnar who are up front. Not the usual pair we see here, but Pondesio really needs to get this first position. Otherwise, if Ragnar can snipe it again, it's not going to look very good for him. But it seems this time Pondesio is good to go. Holds out the line, and Hubabibi doesn't get the finish. He allows Trident to go for the try here. Can he actually make it, or does Hubabibi risk it? Trident doesn't get it! He doesn't get it! He hits the side! Oh no! Oh no! That's a bit unfortunate.
It was always going to be just 1 point to CI, but the fact that SS couldn't manage to get 2 points on there and really give themselves a big fighting chance means that it's got to be 2 aces. That's basically the only way to get you, unless we're going to go to an overtime. We saw some overtimes last regional, but right now you've got to get both of these players up there, and I don't know if you can rely on Hubabibi to make that many mistakes. He had previously a bad run on his last round, but other than that, he's been looking too solid to rely on that.
Yeah, and Pondesio has a bit of a 2 inside turn, does clip it, so it does pretty much put Trident in a position where, well, ideally, of course, he wants first position, but he really has to hope that Hubabibi and Ragnar have a bit of a mare in the identity, which in most cases hasn't happened. And I think, if anything, you sort of want to just cruise your way in. You don't really need to go for anything fancy. And there it is. Ragnar does need to respawn, but I believe Pondesio as well. So no matter what happens here, well, I'll both fall off. So we go for the second tie. Can any of them finish? It doesn't really change the outcome, but it is a draw. So 10-6 the scoreline, and it is a track point and 2-0 in the lead for CI.
That makes me worried a little bit for Southern Speedsters. It's a map that you can actually hope and rely on your opponents making some mistakes to edge ahead. And when this is your first map pick and you still don't manage to close it down, 10-6 is still a pretty one-sided victory, in my opinion, for CI. So CI looking to close this out in 4. I mean, they've got 2 points there, halfway through it already. We're going to be heading through to Frosty.
Yeah, the spinning time, the spinning starts once again. I mean, it is I will say it is one of the unique maps for sure. It's it doesn't get much love. It does get a lot more love than in other tournaments compared to Sinuous for some reason. But it is, of course, it's always ice. Ice is always a bit of a, you know, the evener between teams. You never know who's going to be good on it. You never know who's going to have a good day on ice. And we see Ragnar is definitely not the one that is having a good start to this one.
Ironically, he didn't even go off on the ice, just managing to check his front wheel off the edge of the map there earlier. Hubabibi is the one in the front. Let's see how good his 360 ice slides are going to be. So far, his first one navigated well. Bondisio, it's the same, cannot be said about him. They're going to have to reattempt this. All the way down into 4th place. Trident in 2nd. He's got a good distance behind Hubabibi. Hubabibi just looking far too comfortable right now.
He's having his own time. He's doing a bit of time attack here, maybe trying to go for some good times, but nothing really he needs to do, just the one clean one, and he has such a gap that he can probably take it even safely than he has ever done before. But currently everybody coming in single file. Hubabibi, Trident, Ragnar, and now Pondesio. Everybody gets a shine light in the identity. Pondesio has a bit of a love tap on the pole, but not for the finish line. And it is another CI victory to start us off. A familiar pattern. But again, as always, it is their pick. So to be expected in some regard. As I don't know how much Southern Speedsters have put in their focus on Frosty. Not many teams do that, to be honest.
Yep. It's like you say, right? It doesn't get the love. And so having that sort of ability, both Pool and now Frosty, it's a very interesting strategy that CI is running right now. And if we look at the rest of it, the next one's going to be off-road. That's a much more standard map. So maybe these are just their 2 ace-in-the-hole maps that they want to try and eke out a good couple of map wins, some reliable map wins against their opponents. And considering that this is one of their opponents that they are trying to beat out for the points for that wildcard slot, it's a really nice use of the maps to be able to get yourself ahead, and they're doing fantastically with it so far.
Yeah, and it seems that Hubabibi is just somewhere. You know, at this point you cannot even see him with binoculars at this point. It's pretty hard to get his glance at his name, but it seems that it's Trident and Ragnar who are sort of doing a 1v1. Trident has a bit of a gap. As long as he gets it clean, it should... as soon as I say that, he gets sniped on the line, and Trident is in the mud. That ice has frozen over on top of mud, and it is CI who take the ace with when they go now 5-1, and Bondesio doesn't finish this round once again. So a bit of a struggle here, but definitely looking to be going CI's way at the moment.
I blame you, Critty. It's every time Trident's going into a very difficult maneuver and you mention his name, he completely messes it up, gives away all the hard work from the rest of the map. It's just mean. Always talking about messing up the beginning of the map. We see a horrible start there. Southern Speedsters, Bondesio and Trident both struggling with that jump up there. Trident being the one to go almost completely off the map and has to respawn. And so it's up to Bondesio. If he's going to try and stop this ace in its tracks right now. I've got a chance. Habibi is going off in a very rare miss there on not even one of the more difficult obstacles.
Yeah, it is a good start. And regarding the Trident incident, I'm trying my best here, and I cannot really pick targets because that would be mean as well. I'm just happened to be twice in a row for Trident. I can try it again. I don't want to try and be mean, you know, but I want to compliment the players when they're doing good. It's always the case. No matter what region or whatever, it's always the case. And with Bondesio trying his best, but Ragnar does get it. Bondesio does give a bit of a love tap to there. And with Hubabibi also coming in, it's an ace for CI, as currently Bondesio is not having a good time on this identity. He definitely shows that, like I mentioned before, not many teams pick up Frosty. And it seems Southern Speedsters could be one of them. But Trident did have some good rounds.
Yep. And I mean, Bondesio was looking good throughout there until the very end, and it almost seems like just got a little bit psyched out. I've got to push a little bit harder to try and clinch that first position, and then just gives it away at the end. That is a horrible moment there, and this time going to go off the tracks, joining our spectators in the stands and going all the way to the back. It's up to Trident now. He's the only one who can try and eke out at least another round. If both of these two manage to finish in that top three, it's up to Trident to get at least that first place.
Yeah, the first place would prolong the match for one more round, but if it stays this way, but Ragnarinho does miss out on the checkpoint, but Bondesio is quite far behind to take advantage of it. And Hubabibi does touch the wall on the drift section, but so does Trident, so now both of them are literally neck and neck. And as I said, Trident needs first place to just eco another round out of this, so they are fine line into the identity. Can they actually hold out here? They're going in. Trident is now on the perspective of second position, and with that, Hubabibi doesn't give an inch or a mile or none of the units ever mentioned in our life. And as long as Ragnarinho finishes third, that should conclude this track point.
Yes, Habibi through that line, through that identity, was one of the fastest ones, fastest laps that we have seen. At least here today. That was beautiful. That was confident. The way CI came into this track, into every part of this track, they deserve the 10-2 victory, and it puts them on match points. Now heading into Sinuous. Southern Speedsters, is this a turnaround point, Gritty?
Well, you would say the name says Southern Speedsters, and it is one of the most speedier maps. So, you know, correlation, somewhat trying to find ways to say that they have a chance. We'll see. They picked this map. Again, Sinuous, I will say the easy version has seen a lot more love than the regular version. But again, it is one of those maps where you really don't know who's gonna like this map, because it's one of those maps where it really doesn't get decided in the identity. The identity is so short in the easy version that all of your time lost will be done on the regular track, and once you get to the identity, I mean, you really have to mess it up completely to make a mistake there. As you can see, Hubabibi and Ragnarinho are already quite comfortably in front, with Bondesio and Trident making a mistake on the track part, and we're not even at the identity.
Both of the CI members navigating that tunnel so well, coming out of it with huge amounts of speed, being able to get a good distance through it. There's still a long patch of ice, not that CI needs to worry about it. Frosty is their home ground, And so you can imagine they've got these ice drifts down perfectly. And yes, they do both emerge completely unscathed from that. Pretty much home clear for now, it seems, for the two of them. Don't wanna risk it though. I don't want to cast the curse. I've learned my lesson from you.
Trident is going against the wicked finish. Oh my god, I got it on camera. He flipped on the plastic into the finish. Hey, claps for that. He should get an extra point for that one. That's if this was Twiggy's Wicked Championship for the regionals, he would get all the points for that one. I mean, that's at least something, you know. That should cheer you up, you know, give you a good laugh, you know. It is an ace for CI, but you know, you take what you can.
I love how sentimental you're getting right now, because there are no points, unfortunately, for Southern Speedsters. They're certainly not going to be happy, even though they're making it look flashy, and unfortunately flexing a little bit when both of your opponents are in front of you doesn't really hold a lot of weight. And now we see again CI up front. The only one from Southern Speedsters to really try and challenge them out is Trident Bondicio, at least or nearly 2 seconds behind. Very slow slide through the ice as well, going to give up that gap a little bit more.
Yeah, it is looking at the moment that Trident at least is hopefully not going to make the similar mistake. Hubabibi does hit the sign, and Ragnarinho is in second position. So Bondicio does come in third and holds on to the third. So Hubabibi with that yep sign moment allows Southern Speedsters to come into a victory. But a 4-2 scoreline, name a more iconic duo for this match. We've seen it now, I think, almost in every single match. Or every single track now, so Southern Speedsters, maybe third time's the charm? We'll have to see.
Gotta hope, right? They've got to have something up their sleeve, considering this is their map pick, but Hubabibi just looking indomitable constantly. And every map that you put him through, you can see that these players have trained it out, and coming through that tunnel once more with all the speed in the world, navigates the S-bends with confidence, doesn't deviate at all from that. Still holding that first position. But of course, Trident constantly on his back line until Ragnario going to be the one to take it out.
Yeah, but they are really going back and forth here. And Hubabibi, Trident using a bit of the wall to help him out there. But if anything, that will only hinder him in the long run. Hubabibi is having his own fun time up front. Ragnarinho and Trident hits the tree as well, which means it will be an ace for CI. And that would mean that only an ace away from concluding this match and taking it to a 4-0. So they do need a bit more than that. And again, we go resorting to aces for Southern Speedsters.
More than 2, and that's the scary part, is it's going to take flawless runs from now on. That's certainly not been what Southern Speedsters have been bringing to the table up until this point. Unfortunately for them, they are having a really rough start to the weekend. And even their own map picks not able to upset or really trouble Hubabibi, especially between these two CR players.
Yeah, Hubabibi has definitely been looking quite formidable. Has a few hiccups there and there, but I mean, overall, like, CI are definitely the team that has had either a better warm-up or a better start. Hubabibi, of course, maybe not as good of a turn there, and as soon as we say CI have been doing well, Ragnarinho almost falls off the map. Hubabibi barely catching up to Trident. And Bondicio, if everything goes well, or if somebody makes a mistake in the identity, can actually snipe something, but it's all up to Trident. Can he hold on to first position? It does look like a bit of a wobble in the end, but does get it done, and we keep the same positions. A draw, and a few more rounds, it seems, that Southern Speedsters are trying to attempt to get some more points.
Still, those 2 points are so intimidating right now. That means that Bondicio has to come up. He has to flex into this matchup now and show that he's here for a reason, because those 2 points for CI, Trident obviously getting that first position would be able to secure them at least another round, but it won't be enough. And you got to think in the long run. A bit of a break here. Ragnario going to be going into 4th position by quite a margin. Gives Bondicio that play back in a Trident, still the one to challenge Hubabibi, though, first position.
Yeah, but a victory would only be a nice icing on the cake, which cake probably is not going to be their most favorite flavor as well. So a bit of it will be a nice touch, but first of all, they really need to get that first position. And of course, Hubabibi at the moment has been quite infallible in the end, and hasn't really done much And I don't think he really needs to do much. He just needs to not make a mistake in the end and not allow Southern Speedsters to take an ace, which they do. How convenient.
Okay. How convenient right now. That cake is tasting just a little bit sweeter. Southern Speedsters bringing it back, and an 8-6 scoreline is a much more inviting prospect. It's certainly not easy still. You have to keep doing this. I think another ace would put Southern Speedsters suddenly on a very happy pedestal. But for now, Cameron and CI, they're still cooking. You know, they're the ones busy baking this and setting it up. As I say that, Huba Bibi takes a hard check, and it could open things up completely.
Yeah, the baker is slowly going out of business at the moment. At least Huba Bibi might need to introduce something new to the market here, because at the moment he's putting a lot of pressure on his teammate, and it seems that at the moment the start has not been going his favor. But Trident makes a mistake, but at least it's close to the checkpoint, so he doesn't fall very much behind. But it now puts Bondesio in a position where he needs to get first position, because if he allows Ragnarinho to now overtake him in the end, that will be curtains. So, but he's going very wide. They're all going there. Who's willing to push the end? Bondesio is on the line, but holds out. And where it matters, Bondesio is able to hold down, but that draw puts them in that dreaded 9-7 position, which means they need an ace. There is no other way. There is no other way to get this track point.
But I mean, an ace wins it for Southern Speedsters. They suddenly have a chance. They can smell that cake right now. And it's smelling good. They're starting to rise to the occasion. Unfortunately, there at the beginning, Bondesio takes, Trident takes a very hard line. Slides out just a little bit, giving CI the first two positions, and how much they would love to be able to secure it right here and now. It's going to be such a hard fight, and not really any sort of big mistake causing obstacles that you can rely on for CI to trip up on.
Yeah, this is now the part where you go into the map part where Sinuous, as said, with the map, and as Bondesio has a bit of a rougher time on the ice. Well, as I said, once it comes down to the identity, it should be pretty clear cut how the positions are, and if they know the gap, I don't think they really need to do much. And yeah, clean finish in the end. They take the ace, they take the 12-7. A bit of a sweat, a single drop of sweat was dripping there for a moment for them, but it seems that it was just a false alarm. 12-7, they take this track point and the match point as well, concluded with a 4-0.
Well done, and that's the thing. As the consistent team, CI proving themselves to definitely earn themselves that spot. They haven't earned it just yet for the wild cards, but it's a really nice start to the weekend. And unfortunately, Southern Speedsters, they tried as they might, but they are left eating a little bit of humble pie and have to go down to that lower bracket.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. We do have an update, of course. Foot Esports did win against Knights, which is a new team, of course, as well. But we do have one match that is still underway, so we can possibly take a quick look at how the game is going at the moment. And it seems that it is going quite well for Split Academy. They are on match point, 7-1, in an ace position. And it seems to be a repetition of one of the previous regionals where we get the match and we get to see one final round on grip. Because that's the exact map they're on, like the last time, and it seems it's going to be an ace to end it off.
Oh, so good to start this off. That's the end of that, unfortunately. Sorry, I'm busy still trying to get into that match. You did that so quickly,
maybe not yet. You might have a chance to get one more round in, because Prontok does get at least denies the ace, and we will be going into a 9-2 scoreline. So you get one more round here. So they really notice that, oh, okay, they're coming in. They're coming in. We get a bit of time on the screen. Everybody, one more round.
Oh, that's what we like to bring you guys, as much Trackmania action as possible. And we've got a lot for you. We're going to be starting with about 3 hours worth of matches here tonight. And then, of course, finishing off the weekend, the final regional here in the MEA region tomorrow.
Yeah, that will be the case indeed. But with one more round at least for this match, I mean, it's looking to be concluding in a moment here. Thomas is first. Benoxy did make a huge mistake, but knowing how well Thomas has been doing at least, or knowing how good of a player he is, for MEA. I do believe that this should, even if he gets second position, that should conclude this map. They are getting into the identity, and unless, again, something miraculous happened, Thomas has a mental lapse in judgment, wants to go for the world record for some reason. He doesn't really need to do much, and there it is. Thomas in first, Pronto in second, a kill in third, and Benoxy comes in a gradual fourth, but that is enough. That is 10-3, match point, track point, and a 4-0 secured for them.
Good to see Split Academy coming through with a really nice start for the weekend. That is, of course, the fifth placed team for now that is looking to punch themselves up into the top 4 and secure themselves a wild card slot. And a 4-0 victory after another one of our new teams is a really good start to the weekend. Looking comfortable, looking solid the whole way through there. The weekend's panning out exactly according to plan there, my friend.
I mean, everything is going as expected to some degree, of course. Of course, there are some unknowns. Of course, we had just Knights being one of them. But of course, it's a pretty tough task for anybody to go up against Foot Esports. So we'll have to wait and see what they have to offer. It is a team that it's unknown for us. So hopefully we get a glimpse of them in the matches to come. But for now, I do believe that all of the matches have concluded for now, unless my brain is having a meltdown as well. But I do believe that is the case. So I do believe we can get onto a break, and we'll see where we continue off from there. So don't go too far. We have plenty of MEA Regional to come. And we're back as quickly as that. Hopefully you've been enjoying the cast so far in the tournament. We had a bit of a taste of 2 matches, one in its full entirety, and one of the teams at least, we got a glimpse of what they might be giving us for this round. We're back once again, and knowing what the matches are to come, how's your view at the moment? Do you think everything will go as expected so far, or at least maybe we'll get some surprises?
So far, it's all according to script, but this could be an interesting one. I think out of all the matches that we're going to see this weekend, this has the biggest upset potential. I mean, Split Academy, even though they are currently ranked 5th, they look to be the team that's growing the most as we head into our ban phase and our pick phase. Split Academy has been looking so strong. We saw them just at the end of that with a nice 4-0 victory. Frosty going out there, that's an interesting one because it is one that Split Academy has played on previously and done very well on. It's not their map pick, but Sinuous going to be our starting points.
Yeah, but I feel like, of course, like you can, of course, understand Foot Esports put a lot of time and effort into these maps as well, for sure. Like the hours are put in as well. Birdie does also matchmaking a fair bit as well. But Split Academy, at least with that bit of information we got, is that a lot of segment, or at least a lot of practice has been gone into segment practice, put a lot of effort. They are, of course, representing Split Academy as well, so maybe it has been a good motivator to, push a bit more, give it a bit more as well. Foot Esports, of course, is a very formidable opponent to go against. But these map picks, we'll see how it goes. Sinuous, of course, is our starting map with Grip, Pool, Control. Good map pick there. I like it. Airwalk, Off-Road, and Braking as a decider.
I'm interested. Yeah, my comment about Split Academy has the opportunity for upset. I think that would be true if they were going up against Molotov. Foot is unfortunately, for all the other teams in the region, pretty much untouchable right now. They have taken every one of the 5 regionals we've had so far. And the fact that they're coming into this as well, looking just as comfortable, Split Academy just needs to do their best. I would be very impressed if they can take a single map off it. And Control has been one that teams have challenged Foot on before. I mean, we saw Molotov taking them to a very intense overtime previously, and then even managing to do well enough against Foot in that finals to take the map off.
I guess which team beat Foot Esports on this map as well? Molotov Gaming. So, when you look at things, Split Academy technically have a chance, here. They can take some track points here, but, it's definitely, we're trying to build really paint a Mona Lisa here for Split Academy. As you can see the teams on your screen as well. Chemku, Birdie, well, for Foot Esports, and Split Academy with Tomers and Benoxy. It is, of course, a very tough field battle. I mean, like I've said before, even some of the EU teams will have a pretty hard struggle against Foot Esports. It's going to be an interesting one. But given the context that we know, I'm looking forward. I think they can take a track point here, that's for sure. I think it's a possibility. How close it will be or how far, well, there's only one way to find out as the match begins on Sinuous.
Sinuous, this one being Foot's map pick. Very nice, solid one. And like you said, one of the more predictable maps that we see it straight away. Chemko out into the front lines. Benoxy and Thomas pulling up 2nd and 3rd. And Birdie having a rough start to this matchup.
Yeah, I had a bit of a moment on the landing onto the plastic there, so it did fall off a bit, but I mean, there's the speed, there's the momentum, and he's already back in the mix with Split Academy, already overtook Benoxy. Chimku, again, I mean, if you have binoculars in the stands, hopefully you took them along with you because he's gone and far. Benoxy having a moment on ice, and with that, even with a start that didn't look very optimized, or it didn't look the best, Birdie's in 2nd, and it seems that they're gonna go with a very comfortable ace to start them on this map.
That is madness, actually, how much he was able to come back. And so quickly, the speed out of that tunnel was phenomenal. And that's got to be intimidating if you're Split Academy. Even when you see Foot making a rare mistake, it's still so hard to hold them back. And Chemko, of course, looking untouchable, unfazed at all. And like, this is just another day in the office for him.
Yeah, I mean, of course, he contests some of the best times in the Trackmania World Tour as well on a lot of the maps. So Chimku is definitely has the pace, and I think even if he lets off the gas pedal a bit, that's probably going to be a lot faster than a lot of teams and players can produce even on a good day. So I think he has a bit of a comfort here as well. And I think to some extent you gotta think that, oh, Thomas hits the corner as well, that Sinuous pick, of course, probably has been picked with the intent that Split Academy are definitely not having a fun time here. And with the gap being 2 seconds, I think it's a fair judgment to make.
Yeah, not having a fun time is a good way to put it, because unfortunately, I mean, just 1,000th of a second between the 2 FUT players, that shows how well refined this map is for them. They pick up a second ace in a row. This could be a very short map.
Yeah, but that always trickles back to the thing where your first map pick should be, you know, a statement. You know, you pick it, you should be doing well. Maybe not always 12-0, but it definitely should be where you're like, yep, they definitely know what they're doing. They've been cooking, and they're definitely cooking a Michelin star meal here. And we see that, at least for now, that's looking to be the case. That star on for the Esports logo, that's a Michelin star for sure, at least. But Birdie at least having a moment again, as he does drop down to 3rd position.
And then straight away back into 2nd. Such a tight line. And valiant effort coming out. Benoxy and Thomas not far behind these, and so the ice line could really determine a lot. But look how clean that line is from Birdie. And of course, Chimko in the front line. Unfortunately, Birdie takes a check on the way out of it, unfortunately. And there's a reason that Split Academy was called Let Us Cook in the past. It's because they still have something up their sleeve.
Yeah, they have something up their sleeve, but it's a draw. And with Chemku dropping a 55-0, 55-0, and a 55-1, you're gonna soon run out of rounds. If my math is right, at some point you're just gonna run out of rounds. If Chemku just does that, I mean, in 3 rounds, 3 draws, that's more than enough to take a track point. I'm sure they want just to get an ace and get it done with, but you know, if you want to go for the long run, have a bit of fun, then you definitely can have a bit of trouble beating Chemku.
I mean, I don't see FUT being a team that's ever going to just try and extend this any more than they have to. Thomas taking a double tap there to put him completely out of this race. I say out of this race. There's theoretically options, but I'm pretty much speaking in finalities at this stage, considering how well FUT has been doing. FUT certainly. Oh, Chimko so close to that inside corner, and yet he holds it perfectly and out the other side, looking to take his 4th victory in a row out of this. The identity, the last hope for Split Academy to stick into this, and it's going to be nothing. FUT secure it in the minimum number of rounds.
Yep, and a 54-7-7-7. The luck is clearly on the FUT Esports side. The lucky 7s are on the board, and with 10-1 on the scoreboard, track point that is secured as quickly as possibly can. Of course, it's not the perfect 4-rounder, but it's a 4-rounder. Nobody can take that away from you. And they are going, of course, into the next map, which is Grip. Split Academy just ended on a match on Grip comfortably. So, you know, this is one of those map picks. It's your first, so you gotta make it count. Otherwise, maybe a Control could be the next best option.
I'm excited. I think Grip could be a very close, or certainly a closer competition. I think that's a very safe statement to make. But Split has always looked good on this map. They've got this first jump really nicely refined between them, coming down early. Birdie actually has to respawn there. And so it's up to Chemku to try and deny the ace from Split Academy on their mapping.
That is a good sign, at least when you're looking at Split Academy's point of view. But as always, I put in the comparison. If there's one person you would like to make a mistake on FUT Esports, it would be Chemku. Nothing to say bad against Birdie, but I mean, look at this man. He's first. You really would like him to be at the back end, not him at the front. So, and going into the identity, it's gonna be a tough task. Thomas is trying his best, but look at that. Chemko is really risking it, but Thomas with more speed. Can he hold up until the ult? Who gets the better line and exit? Chemko does. It is going to be a draw, but a close one. But again, it speaks volumes of how consistent he is, and it's very hard to topple him at the front.
I mean, even there, when Thomas and Chemku were fighting it out, you could see Thomas just hesitating for half a second. There was nothing stopping Chemku up on 2 tires, just the smallest amount off the track for him to be able to lift those wheels. And it's just it shows the balance he's got into these lines. But it is 1-1. Split Academy is still in this. Oh, Birdie, another rough start to the round.
Oh, that's a proper hit on the sign. A bit too ambitious on there, but again, a familiar sight. I mean, at this point, they might as well put a sticker on Tmwt's spoiler and say, well, catch me if you can. And it seems Thomas and Benoxy are, well, trying their best, but it's already half a second. And I mean, it's an identity that, of course, if you risk it too much, you can make a blunder here and there. But if you know what you're doing, there isn't really much you need to do to make it count. And it seems that Tmwt does get it indeed, and it is another draw. So unless at this point Birdie finds a better line through the first half of the track, we might be going in for a bit of a longer haul on this one.
I mean, is this really how Split Academy is going to win their upset match? Is just draw it out all the way through and then maybe get a victory at some stage when Thomas or Benox is able to find that little bit of a line in front of Tmwt? I highly doubt that's going to be the narrative for the entirety of this. Birdie going to be able to clean it up a little bit more throughout the rounds, you've got to think. But at the end there, you can see Split Academy not even wanting to challenge Tmwt through that identity. They just try and hold on, just try and get the secured points that they can. Right now, Foot neck and neck for first and second.
Yeah, but then again, you look at Split Academy, they haven't made a single mistake technically around the entire track, and it's only been Birdie who's had a bit of struggle, but now he's up front alongside his teammate, literally wheel to wheel, and they're looking to take this ace away. And with, I mean, Thomas and Benoxy, clean rounds. But Birdie again falters on the line and gives another draw over to Split Academy. It looked so perfect until it wasn't.
Mod check on that one at the end, because Birdie looked solid the whole way through, and like you say, Thomas and Benoxy, they're not making a mistake, but up until that point, it looks like just not making mistakes is not enough to carry you through there. You talked about the man you want to see at the back if you're Split Academy. Tmwt having a rough start. Benoxy also joining him there. But it means the fight now between Thomas and Birdie, and arguably Thomas looking the stronger of the two in the front. This could be the chance for Split Academy to earn some points.
Yeah, but but this is the opportunity you should be taking. But Benoxy being fourth at the moment, it's the complete opposite, because now if Birdie doesn't have a moment there, which he does, we're just gonna have another draw. We're just reversing the entire grid. This time it's Split Academy taking first position, and Foot Esports securing second and third. Birdie! Oh my god, he still hangs on somehow. Whoa. That's a bit of a safe moment. Does get the upper fin, and it seems that Benoxy with that early mistake was not able to also catch up to Tmwt. It's another draw, and it is 4 rounds of draws, and it was the best opportunity Split Academy I think are gonna ever have to get a victory. Now Tmwt is gonna be like, yep, that's a one-off, goodbye everybody, I'm just gonna take first position now.
Yep, that's terrifying actually, and you gotta imagine that Benoxy, you're feeling horrible about that start to the round, knowing how important that was if they do want to try and bring it competitively through this. But Thomas going to be sitting at the front. He is being consistent the whole time. It'll be interesting to see where the breaking point comes in. You feel like it's going to come soon with these two teams getting better and better.
They are on such fine margins, and again, it looks like a Foot Esports ace. It looks like a Foot Esports ace, and Thomas has to respawn. So Benoxy, at this point, just send it. Just fully send it. There's nothing to lose at this point. Just fully go for it. Take Birdie out at least. You know, you get the points on the board, but it seems that even Birdie is not allowing that to happen. Gets close, but not close enough. It's an ace for Foot Esports, and that's where the nail in the coffin comes in. Foot Esports now definitely not letting go of the possibility when it does come in front of them.
And there was even the option there. I saw Birdie's tires wobble in the air for just half a second, but it's still not enough. And that ace, that really just defines a big gap. It's almost insurmountable right now. Split Academy going to be holding tight. And again, not a lot of mistakes. Just the one by Thomas in that round, but even when they're not making mistakes, it doesn't feel like that they're bringing the fight. They're almost relying on Tmwt, especially, to make mistakes, to try and take any points in this match.
Yeah, but that just shows Foot Esports have the pace as well, and put it together with consistency as well. Well, even Chimku does touch the dirt outside wall there. It does allow for Split Academy to come through, but a pace and consistency overall is what Foot Esports for MEA is what they're known for. Even if you have a clean round, it's just that they can outpace you outright, and there's nothing you can really do. And we see Penoxy goes for a wider line. It's coming really close. Chimku is also pushing it. Yup, a bit too much. That's a pole. That's a definite pole moment there. But it is a draw. Birdie holds out on this time, but it could have been a bit shaky there. If something went wrong in the end, could have been actually an ace for Split Academy.
Ooh, that was actually a very tight chance, and if Split Academy could have picked up the ace at that stage, we would have had a tight fight. But I cannot believe it. 5 out of 6 rounds so far ending in a draw. Just a big difference. One member typically costing the team for either side at any stage. This time it seems to be Thomas, who's had a rough line into the plastic section. Chemko and Birdie looking strong at the front. Chemko, he doesn't make the jump.
Oh, goes a bit too low. He was really trying to get a nice early landing, but you know, a bit overcooked there. Might need to check the temperature on that one. Maybe go back in the oven for next round. But again, it seems that once Chemku does make a mistake, this is what their team dynamic is great for. If one of them, it's very rare that they both make a mistake, and we see it here as well. Birdie, he's just safing. Like, he doesn't really need to push. It's Spinoxy and Domers that have to do it, and Birdie comes in a comfortable first again. No heroics really, but you know, when it matters, if one of the teammates makes a mistake, the other one is always there, which is very hard to compete against for Foot Esports, well, for Split Academy side, because they won't make double the mistake. It's always only one.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? And that's the power of that ace. The fact that Foot was able to push out 3 points ahead means that they are able to trade out every single one of these other rounds. And 6 out of 7 now, the number of draws we've had. Just a single draw more would mean that Split Academy has lost their map pick, round number 2, going to Foot Esports. You got to think, the only way for them to really get back into this is to take an ace. Is that really the dream that you're hoping for if you're Split Academy?
I mean, the dream team is there. I mean, they've had a really good session of grip, but at the moment at least, Foot Esports are now done playing games here, and they just want to make sure they get a nice big number on the board. 12 would be a nice way to end it up with an ace as well, you know. With 6 rounds of draws and then 2 aces to make the difference, I mean, that would be the case. But Thomas is trying, but it seems that it's just a bit too far away. And it seems that they put that into bed. It is an ace, so it's 6 draws, 2 aces to separate them. I mean, when you look at it that way, it does look pretty good that Split Academy were able to give a good battle on the track, but they had chances, but weren't able to get them.
They had chances, and the fact that it wasn't just consistent victories was an impressive sign to see for Split Academy. This is the top team in the region. This is one of the top teams in the world, and you're still pushing them to those draws over and over again. Unfortunately for Split Academy, it wasn't enough. They never were able to really get up ahead of their opponents. They give up map number 2. We go now to Pool, the second of Foot's map picks. And considering how well and how one-sided that was in the first map pick, Foot looking to close this out in 4 rounds or less, or just 4 rounds or less. That would be impressive if they could do it like that.
Well, if they can do it in less than 4 rounds, I would say that something clearly has gone wrong, because the minimum rounds needed to win a match is 4 to begin with. But we see Chemku making an early mistake, and again, what do we see? One of the teams does make a mistake, but then Birdie is miles away. Like, it's very hard to compete with this. I mean, Benoxy and Tomers aren't doing anything wrong. Clean racing, no major mistakes. Tomers does get a nose slide, but I mean, that's miles in between what Chemku had at the start. But then you see Birdie, it's like, bro, he's gonna disappear around every corner. I don't see him anymore, and I'm spectating Tomers at this point. So yeah, it's a rough start, but they get through it. Benoxy does get a slide, but that should be more than enough. Chemku is not close enough to take advantage of that, and it is a draw. So back to the script from before, it seems.
But again, like, you look at the difference is whoever doesn't make the mistake from Foot is miles ahead. And like you said, it's not mistakes from Split Academy that's costing them. It's just that Foot have refined their play, and they've refined their lines on every one of these plays. And every one of these maps, it doesn't matter what you throw them onto, you're going to be pushed to the absolute breaking point. And you see both Birdie and Chemko there up on 2 wheels for just a second because they are pushing themselves.
Yeah, this is now looking what we expect from Foot Esports side. Both of them up front, just gliding away with every single checkpoint. Benoxy has fallen a second behind, so it is Thomas that is the closest to really engage, but with the clip on the sign there, it slightly solidifies the positions that Foot Esports have up front. And with this identity, I mean, there isn't really much you can make a mistake. Yes, you can slide out here, but there's plenty of ways to avoid that, or at least take it as safely as possible. And there it is. Both teammates from each team go hand in hand across the finish line, but it's Foot Esports who take the ace.
And by nearly 2 seconds. I mean, they were not massive mistakes. They were a couple of lost control moments and lost grip moments, but looking too good constantly the whole way through there. And you can see their cars nearly overlapping through most of these maps. It's just an impressive sign for them. So Split Academy needs something miraculous to happen. Somehow both of these teams to just, or both these players from Foot to stall out in the water, to just drain their engines for a second, or make a big check into a wall trying to push these corners a little bit too far. Yeah. So far, no mistakes.
Yeah, and we see that Thomas again has a bit of a moment in the drift where I do believe he had another nose slide there. So Split Academy, well, they are an academy team, so maybe they really need to still learn how to split apart Foot Esports, because at the moment it is not looking in their favor, and it seems their map picks are just too convincing. It's another ace on the board. Benoxy and Thomas to come in, but it is 7-1, and it's exactly the same way that map 1 went, or track 1 as well. So 1 ace more and they can secure another 4-rounder in the bag.
That would be powerful. It's Split Academy has their strong maps. You can see it. Obviously, this is not one of them, or at least not one nearly to the strength of Foot Academy, Foot Esports. Once more, we see Chemko and Birdie holding hands, just linking wheels and driving together throughout this map as if they are just coming home. Oh, what a beautiful sight to watch these two players working.
I mean, if anything, it just shows like the level is there. Like there is players to look up to here. Definitely not the way Chemko hits the wall there. But overall, when you look at Birdie and Chemko, I mean, they are definitely the echelon of players you really want to aspire to as well. Like the quality is there, they have the consistency. You know, everybody has, you know, a bit of a spinning moment or a round or two. But when it matters, like one of them is always there. And again, Birdie first, Benoxy and Thomas are second and third, and that's almost. Almost was a 4th place there, but it's another draw. But it's just, I mean, if anything, it should be motivating. You should know that that is the level that is in our region, and there should be ways. There's ways that we can get up there as well. So, of course, hard work and determination. Some people have the talent, but hard work also needs to make use of that talent, and we can see that. Well, at least Birdie Start is not very talented for this round, but overall, I think that's the mindset that people should be looking at. It's not that they are unreachable; it should be how we can reach that high as well.
Yep, got to be taking it as inspiration there. Again, Thomas really struggling onto those walls there, falls back a little bit. It doesn't give too much time for Birdie to catch up, and Chemko going to be the only one still in this race. Probably not going to be able to then secure the victory right here and now, with Thomas still being in the running. But it's not far behind. It's still, though, it's always going to be a blue player in the front lines.
Yeah, but Benoxy has a bit of a wobble there, unless Birdie has an insane end here, which he is not going to have. Gets a bit closer, but not good enough, as it is a draw. And don't take a shot every time we say draw. In this match, I think somebody would already be having a bit of trouble at this point, but for now at least, Foot Esports are a point away of taking another track point. They're not getting a 4-rounder, you know, you gotta look at the positives here, but it has been a sort of a case that we've seen before. Again, one of the players is always first, and Foot Academy have been able to hold on to second and third for those rounds.
It's just, Thomas completely knocking it out there. No one going to be in contention anymore between these players. Benoxy trying valiantly to stick around, but Foot Esports is looking powerful. And I think the biggest testament is the fact that, we've had so many draws. We've had 8 draws now in the last something like 9 or 10 rounds. it's either been an ace or a draw. There's never been a victory, at least not in the last 2 or 3 maps between these two teams. Split Academy just unable to clinch out that first spot ever. I mean, I think they had once previously. That was an interesting check at the end. But another ace to finish it off. Foot Esports 12-3. A little bit lower than they would have liked, or higher for Split Academy if you want to see it that way. But still always looking too strong to really compete with.
Yep, that is indeed the case. And Benoxy somehow actually from that wall bang managed to miss the checkpoint as well. So he didn't even get the satisfaction of crossing the finish line. But it is 12-3. It is maybe a bit more wobblier than, for example, Sinuous was for Esports. But I mean, at the end of the day, it definitely was a much more dominant performance for them. And we go on to Control. Now, this is the point where Split Academy actually have a chance, because Molotov Gaming went into overtime with Split Academy last regional on this map, and Molotov Gaming were the team to actually obliterate Foot Esports. Yes, I say obliterate Foot Esports on this map. So, you put the dots together, there's a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance.
There's a chance. And where else would it be besides Control? The most tenuous map, the place with the biggest opportunities for things to go horribly wrong. And this is where Split Academy would love to be able to pick something up now. Now it's not about refined lines. Now it's about making the jumps that count. And Foot Esports has proven that they can't always do that.
Yeah, it's been a up and down as well for them. It's always been like the identity, and these jumps are the ones that can really throw you off. And Benoxy goes really high. Somehow doesn't hit the upper bar there. But Chemku now with the one struggling. So it is again 1v1 up front and in the back. So again, it comes down to the identity. That's basic, and Chemku does another touch on the wall. So looking good for Split Academy, but it is Thomas who has to take it unless Birdie can snipe him.
Birdie?
And he can. There it is. A lower jump, more risk. And it pays off. And it is another draw.
Amazing. And they actually believe Split Academy had that. Thomas was in the lead for most of that round. And so the fact that Birdie was able to just eke out that last little lower jump and get away with it just shows Split Academy still has their work done out for them. There were mistakes here and there, though, that they can exploit and use to get back into this competition.
Yeah, this is, but it's looking good. Benoxy has a bit of a wobbly landing, but we've seen he's not far behind. Yes, you look at the board on the left, it does say 6/10, but we've already seen that can be caught up relatively easily. Thomas does go for a wider jump. It allows Foot Esports to go into an ace position. So it is looking good for them, but we'll have to see. Still plenty of track, and the ending has been quite treacherous for some of the players.
So far, so good for all of the players. Benoxy's slight wobble at the beginning, the only thing to say for it. Chemku now up into this. Everyone up. Chemku's out the bottom line. And there is actually a little bit of a tussle there. Just 0.03 of a second between Birdie and Thomas. But Birdie sneaking through at the front there, it gives them the ace. And suddenly Split Academy on a big deficit early in the match.
Yeah, but they are in the mix. It's just been one way or the other, but they are in the mix. So clear, it's not something like, Foot Esports can be like, 4-1, we got 3 points ahead, should be nice. No. Definitely not the case. They do have to drive clean, because Split Academy, again, they are consistent. They don't make any major mistakes. Yes, they fall a bit behind, as we see with Benoxy at the moment, but overall, like, they are in the mix, so Foot Esports cannot really let go of the pedal and be like, this is gonna be an easy round. Yeah, we can just cruise on to the end. As Birdie hits the bobsleigh, and what did I just say? It's not over until they cross the finish line, but it is Chemku that is up front.
Chemku is up front. He's got to make all of these lines, otherwise Split Academy could very quickly be back into this. He launches high. Manages to go over, comes down what looks cleanly, and still takes that first position. No mistakes there. And once more, Split Academy just held to the draw.
Yeah, that's more of the draw. And in this case now, Split Academy, they gotta start getting onto winning ways. You know, a victory here, you know, take it down to 2 points. Victory again, you get it down to 1 point. So you really want to get something momentum going. Yes, draws sort of help you keep in the mix, but that ace on that round again is the bigger difference. So you gotta have something going on, or otherwise again this track could run away and get out of control for Split Academy rather quickly.
Nice bit of overtaking coming out there from Split Academy. Birdie with just a rough landing. Once more, Tmwt in the lead, but this has been one of the closest leads that we've had, especially when you consider it. And Thomas utilizes that, manages to get in there, now into the bobsleigh. It's going to speed out the other side. Thomas does well and holds that. In fact, he may have just extended his lead just a little bit. Tmwt, though, still sniffing right on the tail. Benoxy in third position. And once more, of course, it's going to come down for the identity.
Yeah, Thomas is in a fine position. Oh, but Benoxy hits the bobsleigh. So again, it is another draw. We cannot escape the draw. It's just stuck on this match like no tomorrow. I think we've only pretty much had draws or aces at this point. I don't think we've had a single victory. Correct me if I'm wrong.
The whole of Grip, we had 6 draws. Pool was draws and a couple of aces thrown in there. Now Control setting it up. And it's just intense, the fact that we see FUT Esports. And I think out of I think it's 10 draws now.
It has to be double digits at this point, I'm gonna be honest.
It's maybe 10 or 11. Split has only managed to come in first, one of them so far. Every other time it's been FUT in that first position, and then 2-3 picked up by Split. So it's got to change. Something's got to change for Split Academy. They've got to get in front of the lead. And unfortunately, it's not going to help with Thomas going down like that, and even Benoxy being left behind now.
Yeah, but he is in the mix, and he has a really good line compared to Birdie, and that allows now Thomas to also just really reel in Birdie, you know. So let's see how it goes. But again, it's looking to be, unless something changes, then maybe we'll get a first victory here. Oh, but Thomas goes for the risk, and it pays off as well. Oh, no, it doesn't! Birdie gets us still a better landing, and it is a victory for the Esports. Caster speaks too soon. Oh, it was possibilities again there, but it's an 8-4 scoreline.
Oh, we see the victory. It's taken us 3 tracks, but we get back to a victory, and it was just at the very end. It changes things up a little bit in terms of the dynamic, but it really doesn't seem to be changing at all in terms of the overall standings. FUT now within 2 points, and a victory or better would prove it all here and now. They would secure themselves that upper bracket final spot, as we thought that they would the whole time. The Split Academy at least been giving us an entertaining contest.
Oh yeah, they are definitely going for this. I will say, like, if anything aside, like, Split Academy have given FUT Esports some trouble on the maps. It's not easy to get all the draws around this round, of course. Maybe not the best showing for Split Academy, but overall, I mean, I will still say, like, they've given a good fight at it, but it's very hard to topple FUT Esports. Not a single team has been able to do so, and not for Split Academy as well. An ace for them, and it is a track match point. 11-4 on the board, and it is a 4-0, but a valiant effort. But it was just not meant to be. When it mattered, FUT Esports just aced their way through the victory.
Yep. What I'm very interested to see, though, Split Academy showing that they are here, that they are an incredibly powerful team. I'm very interested to see how they're going to go up against Molotov if those 2 teams match up later. But that does bring us to the end of game number 2. FUT stating that they are here as the top team in the region, time and time again, and batting aside in a 4-0 sweep any challenges that come near them.
Yeah, that is what we expect, but that doesn't mean that the matches are over. We still have a few going. We still have the other match between Molotov and CI, so we're definitely gonna take a look at that one once we get into the game, of course. But still, I will say, like, Split Academy, the consistency was, I will say, well, when we take FUT Esports aside, consistency was good. But we go into Molotov Gaming and CI here, and we see, again, we get a 1-rounder, it seems. Because it is match point for Molotov Gaming, and they are 3-0 up, and 1 round more of Frosty, and they have it.
Just an update on the rest of the matches in the lower bracket round 1. Knights playing out against Last Redemption, and Last Redemption also on match point, just needing a single point, currently leading 9-4 on Vortex. So I think all of our matches going to end up very quickly right now, and Knight's going to be our first team to be knocked out.
I will have to hopefully they can give a final battle still there, but it seems, at least for now, for us, it seems that again Molotov Gaming, they are here to definitely go up against Foot Esports yet again, because they are in an ace position. Ragnarinho and Hubabibi are miles away. So it is gonna be Molotov Gaming. Well, it is a frosty track, but definitely they seem to be ready to go up against Foot Esports, as Ace is gonna come in, and unless I somehow jinx this, there's 7 seconds. I even at my best try, I can't do this. So it is an ace for them. 11-4. They take the map here as well, and it is a 4-0. It's I don't know how the rest of the tracks went. Maybe they were closer, but Frosty definitely not a map pick, at least, or at least against Molotov Gaming, that CI had a good time here. But that's 4-0.
I mean, that's impressive. When we saw CI on Frosty earlier versus Southern Speedsters, they looked quite comfortable on it. And at the end of this one, looking completely outclassed. And as is the story with MEA Regionals, it is another 4-0 victory. An impressive distinguishing factor between each of these teams. Molotov, of course, that second place team that's looking just so powerful, leagues ahead of everyone except for Foot. That's why I'm so excited to see Split Academy versus Molotov later.
We'll have to wait and see how that goes. But we do have, of course, one more match. The Knights versus the Last Redemption. We get another one-rounder, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Last Redemption at the moment are in a position where they only need 1 point to get through this. So Knights do need an ace here. Priest, well, he needs to get the prayers out and to hope that Last Redemption have a bit of a mare there. But Zoro absolutely yeets himself off that pipe. So it is going to be an ace for Last Redemption. And it is the final round for the Knights, as well as Last Redemption get another redemption here and go on to the next round. I mean, Zoro and Priest, well, they got a bit of shine light. Zoro did have a bit of a moment off the screen on the pipes, but, you know, you take what you can. Hopefully they will be able to come in for the next season, next stage, and be able to be all ready. It was their first appearance here, so, you know, it's good to see that people are trying to get into this. It is the final regional for this MEA, of course, Regional 3 for this one, but, you know, better late than never, you know. That's how I view it. But still, GG to them. I'm glad they joined us, and hopefully they will continue to do so in the next regionals to come for the next season as well.
It's always nice to see the growth here, and you can see that's the commitment for these regionals. Maybe it is people like Molotov and Foot being able to inspire new players coming through there, but South Africa and Turkey bringing in 6 players here, and the new team's pretty much coming just from South Africa. So really nice to see. At least I'm from South Africa, so it's nice to see our guys getting very involved with this, and I would love to see many more teams starting to join this. So if you guys are sitting in the chat right now and you would like to be involved in this, come for it. You've got to get involved in this stuff. And yeah, we're going to lose a couple of viewers here and there, but more importantly, we're going to get a couple more races, and that's what we want at the end of the day.
I mean, that's the idea as well, and like I'm sure, like probably it's already been said in the chat as well, but I believe, of course, MEA has also their Discord as well. So if you want to get involved with the people that are involved with this as well, get in there, you know. You never know. A fire starts from a spark, and you never know. You could be the next Carl Jr. for all we know. Of course, I'm setting the bar very high, but you know, there is Foot Esports, and Birdie and Chemku have shown some very formidable performances, even against the best of EU when we had the All Stars as well. So, I mean, everything to play for, and I mean, more to it. You know, get involved. You know, more people to play with. You might find some good friends, and that's that. But that does conclude this segment of matches. I don't know when we will exactly begin the next ones, because we are way ahead of schedule. So we'll get back to you with that, unless you have something to add on top of that, maybe more inspiring words for MEA.
No, I think that everyone has heard everything that they need to know. And I'm really enjoying the Trackmania that we're getting to see today. The level of competition that these top teams are bringing is intimidating, inspiring, and just a hell of a lot of fun to watch. So we hope that you guys in chat are enjoying it as much as we are. we are going to be bringing it through. And I believe that there is even a chance of us bringing you the upper bracket finals here today. Don't quote me on that, but it certainly is something worth sticking around for if we do get to see that Foot versus Molotov at the top there. Will always be a cracker of a match. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back just after this.
Hello everybody, we're back from the break, and honestly we don't have much time to really ponder upon many things because Pick and Ban has already started. People really have places to be, about Split Academy and of course Sudden Speedsters is the match that we are gonna go into. Yeah, we're doing a bit of a spanner there. We're not gonna look at the upper bracket final. It is for the Esports and Molotov Gaming. I know the big Titans go up against other, but this match to some extent has even more weight than that.
Yeah, this is now for the wildcard slot. Of course, we've talked about it the whole time. There are 4 teams that are able to go through. And at this stage, Split Academy is 2 points behind Sudden Speedsters. They are in 5th position. If they manage to win this, they close that gap to 1. They then, of course, get a chance to earn more points throughout the rest of the weekend. They're going up against the winner of our other lower bracket match there. But the big thing is, if Split Academy can win this, it'll pretty much guaranteed come down to matchmaking. And if there's a tie there as well, then this match is the one that determines it. It goes back to the previous match played and the head-to-head between those 2 teams. So this match really pretty much could decide who gets that 4th spot for the wild card. And that's why it has to be more exciting. Yeah, you're going to miss Foot versus Molotov. That's unfortunate right now. But we'll get to see them later. You guys have seen them enough times. This is the make or break.
I mean, if everything goes according to the script, the plan, you will most likely might see, of course, Foot Esports and Molotov Gaming face off in the grand final. But I will say again, like last time, when if, of course, there's a lot of pressure here on Southern Speedsters because on paper, I will say. Split Academy looked the favorites here. They have been consistent. They looked very good against Foot Esports, even if Foot Esports were remarkably fast. They were consistent, and sometimes, you know, the less mistakes you make, you're gonna most of the time be the one winning as well. And Southern Speedsters definitely looking to have their work cut out here, but they need to do their best performance because they want to avoid as many points as possible for Split Academy.
Yeah. And, I mean, if Southern Speedsters can't take this, wow, that puts them in such a good position. They pretty much secure themselves that wildcard slot. But I don't know if they've got what it takes. Split Academy just looked so strong in that previous round. And Southern Speedsters certainly weren't getting themselves too polished throughout it. But still, very proficient players. We're going to be heading into our first map. It is going to be off-road.
That's just the map we haven't seen today, and all eyes, technically, I feel like it's gonna be down to how well Pondesio can get into the match. Trident definitely has been the one to lead the charge here, but he still needs to take these two Split Academy members, and then he has to, of course, keep in mind that Pondesio is in striking distance, because Pondesio basically now has the job of taking advantage of every single mistake Split Academy make, and he is a second behind, but on this map, as we see, Pondesio hits the corner and Trident doesn't have a good time as well. So Split Academy on their first map pick, looking to start off with an ace.
Benoxy did also check himself out in that ice slide. Thomas unfazed so far, but even Benoxy getting that little touch is not bad enough to cost him any sort of positions. It's going to have to be a tree now, and there is no tree obliging at this stage. An ace to start us the Academy off to the powerful start that we thought.
Yeah, it is. That is to be expected indeed. So it is. There's a lot of pressure on Trident, of course, and Pondesio as well, because they are literally in a position to deny World Tour points. But at the moment, Split Academy starting off good. That is what we somewhat expected. They are very consistent. Maybe not the fastest, but they are consistent, and that can do you a lot of wonders in rounds, especially if you can just keep it going constantly, doing the same thing over and over again. It sort of puts much more pressure on the other team. They know that, okay, if we make a mistake, we're just going to lose points.
Yeah, you cannot afford to right now. Bondisio again struggling a lot, barely getting up the high plays there. And Thomas and Trident fighting it out in the front. Trident doesn't get a good start. He goes off the edge of it, and he doesn't even make the jump. Chaos ensuing right now for all of these players. Bondisio, in fact, managing to come back in there. He's in second place. Thomas, the only one who's managed to get through here. I haven't even seen Benoxy for a while, but he's also struggled throughout this entire map. Oh, off-road. Kind of like Control in how many places there are to mess up as Trident once more.
Missed the checkpoint. You gotta go back and respawn. You missed the checkpoint. Oh no, this is one of the rounds on off-road ever.
Oh no.
Thomas doesn't know which checkpoint he missed. He doesn't know.
Oh,
He's
no.
clueless. But Pondesio needs to finish to at least... Oh no, oh this is all over the place. Okay, Pondesio finishes. So that's good. Can Trident finish as well? Oh no, he can't, so it is going to be a victory for Split Academy. Thomas was absolutely clueless. He missed the checkpoint and he didn't know which one.
Okay, I've been doing Trackmania, not for a huge amount of time, but I've still never seen that before, where someone has to turn around and drive through invisible walls to try and win the race. That's an impressive change of play coming out here, and it does allow Southern Speedsters to get a single point, but certainly not a strategy that I think that they can rely on the whole time. Instead, it's going to come down to once more Split Academy taking that first and second as Trident off the map once more.
Yeah, it is. We're going back to normality here. No checkpoints missed. Nobody sliding out on the ice. Thomas does a bit, but is able to catch it. So good focus there. Trident is also a bit behind, but it is looking to be, unless Thomas has another checkpoint incident, or this time hopefully knows the path, gonna be looking to be an ace in this time. That is indeed the case. No mistakes there, and it is ace to get on for Split Academy, and they go 8-1 ahead, putting them on track point and a victory away from the first track point as well.
Certainly a good map here for Split Academy. Well picked by them, and Sudden Speeds are struggling throughout the whole thing. Doesn't seem like there's any safe parts of this map so far for the South Africans as they go through here, and they need to get a victory or better, or at least keep it to a draw, right? Split Academy, victory or ace will secure this straight away in 4 maps.
That is indeed so. Of course, an ace would be a very good improvement on their score and would at least help somewhat mitigate the problems they're having. But Trident not making the start, so it is pretty much Pondesio chasing down the Split Academy members. So Pondesio needs first place, or it is a bust, and clipping the edge there. Well, it seems that Split Academy, their consistency, apart from that one round, we'll just forget about that one, is formidable. It is that they, like I've said, not the fastest, but once they get the mojo going, they are consistently just hammering in the same time over and over and over. And it's an ace, it's a nice track point, and 11-1. One's on the board.
Very nice play by them. Even some synchronicity coming out from the two of them. The ice slide looked like a bit of a ballet dance instead. Just such a nice read. And Pondesio really struggling through those trees. Not that it makes a big difference at the end there, but most of the rounds struggling through it. And so a good win for Split Academy, a rough start for Southern Speedsters. We're going to be going into Sinuous, and this is a map there that we saw Split Academy struggle against Foot Esports, whereas the Southern Speedsters, this was their best round versus CI.
Yeah, but I fondly remember that even if Split Academy didn't have a best time, they were still, again, they were still in the mix with Foot Esports. They noted they had a few moments of lapse of judgment, and clearly they didn't enjoy this map, you know, to the best of their abilities when they compared to Foot Esports. But I mean, it's very hard to put these two teams into perspective. Southern Speedsters really needs to get something going, and if they cannot take Sinuous here, I don't think they have much in the tank to take any of the other maps. So this is really make or break it for them, I feel like, and Pondesio has fallen a bit behind, but Trident at the moment is the one chasing the two members of Split Academy down.
Yeah, Trident has always been the stalwart of the Southern Speedsters team, probably the best player from the region of South Africa, and one of the admins that we were chatting about earlier, I got to chat to him at the beginning of today, and he's feeling nervous into this, but so far holding his nerve well until he has the most devastating start that he could have. Instead, it's just Split Academy once more picking up that 1 and 2 position, and now holding it out pretty much all the way to the end by a massive margin.
Yeah, it's looking quite comfortable for them, and it is an ace again to start Split Academy off, and it's looking good. Trident has had a bit of a rougher start compared to the previous match he had. He looked a lot more consistent, but maybe feeling the pressure a bit as well, and of course even more formidable opponents to some extent even than before. So I feel like he knows that he needs to push a lot more, but as we always say, you push one corner a bit more and the wall is all of a sudden a lot more closer the next round.
Yeah, it's almost like things change between rounds. At least that's how it feels, but things have to change for the Southern Speedsters. Oh, Pondesio, he's struggled so much consistently throughout the day, and this time making the biggest mistake yet, goes straight into the wall. It's up to Trident to try and track down and take apart the Split Academy lineup. He's got a bit of a breather there. Thomas finding an inside corner as Trident versus Benoxy in the front lines.
Yeah, that is going to be at least as if anything, if anybody wants to go for some wicked stunts in the end, then it should end in the way that the players are currently. Benoxy first. Trident does get a bit of a clip, and Thomas has a bit of a clip, also flies into the finish. Slightly styled points there, nothing fancy, but everybody gets across the line. It is a victory for Split Academy. Gives Southern Speedsters 1 point, but it does make the gap 4 points. Well, it makes the gap now 4 points between the two.
a difficult fight back into this for the Southern Speedsters, and considering this is their first map pick, you mentioned it earlier, this should be your home ground. This should be the most confident you feel, and they're still struggling to keep that first place through any really long periods of time on this map. But Noxy just too fast, and of course Thomas right there with him into this. In fact, the one with the most speed coming out of that Trident now has work to do.
Yeah, and Bondesio did get a bit closer, but a wider line there, and Trident getting and Bondesio hitting the wall. Everybody having a bit of a moment there, but after everything said and done, Benoxy still with a better respawn is able to then continue. But that ice is definitely not sublime, and Bondesio and Trident are again back in the mix. So Thomas, I mean, he's far in between. He's already finished, but the others now is where it's at. As Bondesio is trying to cook. Trident does get second, but again, it's 1 point, and the point cap is now 5 instead of 4.
And even that, you think Benoxy making some big mistakes, really struggling on the ice, that should be the time that Southern Speedsters can step up and be able to wrench the points back in their direction. But there's not enough consistency coming out from the South Africans at this stage. And it just gives Split Academy more and more leverage to work with. They're on ace point now if they take this. They're looking, they've certainly looked to threaten the ace in every one of these rounds so far.
Yeah, it's, as we've said before, Split Academy consistency is definitely their trademark. Sinuous, of course, has been a bit up and down at the moment, but we saw against Foot Esports, they didn't really enjoy this map to the full extent, but they're able to enjoy it enough as Trident hits the checkpoint that Split Academy just, 4 rounds, it's fair enough, that's all we want to take on this map. Don't care, we want to do it the next track. It's been fun, Sinuous, but we move on. But unless, again, miraculous things happen. Thomas goes so slowly that it allows Bondesio to come in, but it's not going to be enough. It is ace on the board, and it is over. Bondesio goes for a few flicks and tricks, but that's not going to be enough. Ace, track point, 10-2, and the next map is underway soon.
I mean, technically a better result than the first round, but barely at that stage. Still, a win in 5 is a dominant performance from Split Academy. They are looking so good. Really a bit of a struggle as we head into Grip. Grip, another one of these maps that's even Southern Speedsters doesn't always look like they've got the Split Academy warmed up after their match here against Foot. And this, ironically, was Split Academy's best map there. So you gotta admit, there's a reason why they're picking this.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, Split Academy really enjoyed some good rounds against Foot Esports. It was basically the match that went 6 draws and then 2 aces. So if they can do that against Foot Esports, then Southern Speedsters, I mean, they gotta have the grip. They have to really get a grip on this map and get the best performance of their life on this. To take down Split Academy, and we can already see that Split Academy, I think at this point, if you have the confidence and you are riding the trade, you might as well send it, as Trident has a bit of a moment. So it's looking to be a pretty convincing win for Split Academy, unless Southern Speedsters, as I said, can bring an A game.
And that's the thing, is because of the way that the identity works, it's not difficult if you take it slowly. And so with no one even being close to the Split Academy players, they don't have to push this. They are not going to make any mistakes here, very comfortably through there and there. And maybe just a little bit of a rivalry between the two players there. Either way, Split Academy taking first and second by a huge margin. 2.5 seconds later, we see the first Southern Speedsters player come through, and Split Academy pick up the ace.
That is the result on the board, and I feel like it could be a bit more of that, but we've seen, of course, there you can have a bit of a moment as Trident doesn't have the speed to get the checkpoint, has to respawn and go again. I feel like Trident simply hasn't had like a really comfortable start to this match. He had a lot more fun, at least, or at least a lot more promising when they went again up against CI, but at the moment, not enjoying his time, but it's very hard when you are trying your best, but it's just that Split Academy are really just doing what they do best. When it matters, they can be very consistent and very deadly.
That consistency combined with the huge pace that they're bringing out every single round means that Southern Speedsters might just be pushed a little bit into trying too hard. You know, even when they're messing up on the simple obstacles, it's a case of they're trying to cut off every bit of time that they can, because that's what it's going to take. Split Academy not making mistakes once more, getting across the finish line with plenty of time. Sudden Speedsters, if it's a single mistake that you find somewhere along the track, that pretty much calls the curtains on you.
Yeah, it's really putting in, like, it's really like tightening the seal here at the moment. Like, I mean, it's the wound is getting ever so bigger, and Split Academy's path towards the next round is becoming ever so a wide open door. So Southern Speedsters really need to get into this match early, and Trident has another checkpoint start incident. So Bondesio is the one to really give it all he can. But for now, at least, I will say Split Academy, when they are enjoying themselves, they are having a good time. So it is something to admire and behold. You know, it's not the easiest to do these tracks consistently and without mistakes. So you can give them the praise there, but so far it's looking to be another ace.
Well, what's interesting here about the way Split Academy is driving this is their lines are almost identical. And now, in different maps, everyone, of course, has their own different styles. They might try and push a slightly faster line, whereas someone's a little bit more conservative. I wonder how much Split Academy has thought through this and talked through it and actually run the lines together to try and perfect exactly how good this is. This is, of course, the Split Academy map pick, and they're showing that they have got it down. This time, one more ace in the bag, single point to go, and could be the most definitive victory we've seen here today.
That looks to be the case as well, and I will say, of course, like, but that alludes to what we mentioned before, where we were given information that Split Academy put a lot of effort into doing segment runs and practicing certain segments of tracks, which allow them to then have same replays for each other to imitate and follow along as well. If and we see Trident having a moment on the landing, so that allows them to then practice a similar style as well. Of course, everybody has their own ways. You know, some people enjoy more dirt, some people enjoy more tarmac, but it seems that at the moment Split Academy are enjoying a nice picnic at the moment. They have a Benoxy has a bit of a moment there, but you know, again, the gap is big enough that you can allow it. It's fine, perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. But it seems that Thomas is already at the finish line, and Benoxy has had to respawn, or at least fall off again. So Southern Speedsters. Oh no, Trident has to respawn again. Oh no, it's well, but they get 1 point, but at this point, Benoxy finishes. Trident doesn't even get the finish line. So 11-1. They get 1 point, but it's going in a downward trend at the moment, not upwards, which is where Southern Speedsters should be heading. And now map 4, well, it's very hard to paint. It is breaking. We haven't seen it today. Maybe there's something we don't know, but we are really pulling in some strings on how Southern Speedsters can really speed their way back into the match.
Yep, I'd be interested to see which of these teams handles the very long ice into the drop a little bit better. Some very narrow gaps and bridges that can define this. And so lots of room for mistakes in this map, which both teams need to be careful of. But Split Academy looking so polished in that previous map. Maybe this is one that they haven't actually practiced that much. Although, like you said earlier, you can be almost certain that they have put all the work that they can into every one of these maps. As we started off early, Bondesio off to a good start there. Trident also right in with his teammates, and nothing separating these teams just yet.
Yeah, they're looking quite promising at the moment. The water section can be a bit of a difference. The lines are different. It is somewhat dependent on your input device. I do see that Trident hits the wall there, but somehow still keeps himself in the mix. But that water line can depend on what input devices you are. Keyboard usually tends to drift, and controller tends to go for the smooth steer. But you can do both with no matter which input device you go for. But Thomas at least all having a bit of trouble. Benoxy hitting the light pole, then all of a sudden Trident is first place with Bondesio also almost overtaking everybody, and Thomas is in the mud as well. Can Southern Speedsters take the ace here? Bondesio, oh my god, he actually makes it, but he hits the light! Oh no. It's close, but yet so far, and it's another draw.
heartbreaking from Bodicio. The fact that this was Southern Speedsters' best chance to launch into this map with all of the momentum behind them. And going from 3 points to 0, they have to settle for a draw.
But it shows there is potential here. It seems that Split Academy may be more fallible on this map than the other ones. Of course, breaking is not an easy map to get clean to begin with. There's a lot of parts where this map is really not giving you any sort of breathing room. You really have to be on point because there's a light bulb there, there's a wall there, as we see Thomas nicely give us a good overview of one of them. Bondesio has fallen a bit behind, but he hits the wall and now he's completely fragile. I don't know, how can you... okay, you can actually respawn there. I was wondering how do you do that. But it's Trident and Benoxy up front as Benoxy hits a wall, so looking good for Southern Speedsters, I guess. I don't know where to put this round as Trident hits the wall again.
Unfortunately, Bondesio in the water, I saw him, he slowed down far too much and hit the wall on the inside, had to respawn, and with 14 seconds behind, Trident's the only one in this. Bondesio does actually at least manage to make up some time over Benoxy. Trident going to be coming in first. Bondesio, what he has to do now is try and make sure that it doesn't end in a draw. Try and get some points towards it in your play here. Benoxy so far back. This has got to... yeah, he's still got to finish.
3, 2, 1. Oh! Just barely gets it across the line. Holy moly, that's a close call right there. But that gives Southern Speedsters the lead for the first time in this match. There's something looming. There is potential. And it seems that it's not over until it's over, as Bondesio does hit the wall, does go for the respawn. Probably the better choice, because you are going to be fragile to the hell. But Split Academy, definitely, maybe if you were like Molotov Gaming or Foot Esports looking at this, they're like, maybe we should pick breaking against them. Looking pretty spicy.
Yeah, this has definitely been the least comfortable we've seen Split Academy. They've been able to not really get most of their rounds as clean as they would like, and certainly the slide handled way better by Benoxy this time than previously, allowing him and Thomas to take that first place. Still Trident in the mix, but once more we see Bondesio far enough back that is inconsequential unless something very serious has to go wrong. Split Academy, Thomas loses a lot of speed there, actually giving up the position, and it's now Benoxy within eye line of Trident. It makes no mistakes and at least gets the victory up for Split Academy. They go 1 point ahead.
Yeah, but it is going to be a track 4 going into round 4 with the score being 4-4. So all 4s across the board, but where do we get after this one? I mean, it has been looking rather good for Southern Speedsters. Bondesio has had a few tumbles and then and there, and I feel like anybody is at the moment fallible on this map. Nobody's really safe. As I say that, Thomas has a hop and a skip, and he's out of this match. I don't think he's really able to catch it up. Benoxy goes for a wall bang as well there. Maybe not the best line there. But it is now Southern Speedsters in an ace position. Yes, I know. I haven't said those words, I think, at all this match. But they have a chance to go 7-4 up. But they do have to do this clean, because Benoxy maybe a second and a half behind. But it's still possible.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to keep your nerve about you at this stage, and well navigated by both of the Southern Speedsters. A really nice try for them. Trident still checks the wall a little bit. Bondesio going to join him there to add his paint. It doesn't make too much difference. They've still got a bit of a lead. Benoxy trying hard has got them in the sights, and so any other mistakes could cost the red team in red. Trident still very far ahead. Bondesio looking to clinch this out. It is going to be our first ace for the Southern Speedsters.
They take it now all the way. The best chance they've had to speed Split Academy, and going into map 5. Well, Thomas is so far behind. He's going to get a bit of practice. Doesn't even get the identity practice in. But yeah, but this is good. This is what Southern Speedsters need. I mean, better late than never. It is going to be possibly a track point for them, and we don't know how the rest of the maps are going to conclude, but they do need to still seal it off. So it is 7-4, but you know, it's an ace away from being a draw again between the two. And I don't think Split Academy really want to allow any track point whatsoever.
It really is coming down. I love these maps where there's chaos that can ensue, that things can change in a heartbeat. That's what Trackmania is all about to me. And so, as fun as we see stuff like Sinuous, this is where that really decides the victors. It's not about the final lines here. It's about making sure that there's no mistakes. And Thomas doesn't get that right this time. He's gone down. It's Trident versus Benoxy in the front. Bondicio is still bringing up a little bit further behind. But it's really this fight for the finish at the end here.
Oh, but Benoxy hits the wall, so it allows Trident to get in front. And oh, Bondesio has a big
Trident
mistake.
off.
Oh, but Trident had to respawn, so now Benoxy, if he gets first place, at least he mitigates the worst outcome here. And he does so Trident comes in second. Oh, but Thomas has also overtaken Bondesio, so it's a victory for Split Academy. It's a 6-8, it's everybody's everywhere. It's almost impossible to follow where everybody is. But it's now 2 points. It's not looking as comfortable as before.
Oh. It really still could come back. I mean, 2 victories at this stage for Split Academy would take us to an overtime. This series is just heating up more and more. And Bondicio, a check near the beginning is going to make it even harder. Has to try and track it out there. We see also Thomas taking a rough line and giving it up a little bit. Benoxy versus Trident, a rematch of the previous round. And with how chaotic that went at the very end, it could clinch it out right now for Southern Speedsters. It could be the resurgence of Split Academy.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, but it doesn't mean no position is really guaranteed, as Benoxy has a wedge moment, absolutely slides out, and Trident can just wave goodbye and drive into the sunset. Benoxy and Thomas do find each other again on the track. Bondesio has fallen a bit more behind, but it is up to Trident. He has had a bit of trouble, but I mean, if you look at the checkpoint splits, he can just take a cruising time. Yeah, you can see. Slow and steady, no heroics needed. Benoxy and Thomas come in as well. It will be a draw, but it sets us up for a round where the only way Split Academy get this track point and match point is if they ace. Which they haven't done so far, not a single round. So looking good for the Southern Speedsters to take a track point.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is previously we had the opportunity for an overtime, but now there is no culmination besides a victory for one of these 2 teams. Anything other than an ace for Split Academy takes them out of it. But an ace in this last final hour secures themselves match points in 4. So it's going to have to be a perfect round. And as I say that, Benoxy just puts it paid to that right here. And now he's taken a horrific start. And all Southern Speedsters needs to do is finish.
Yeah, they just have to, you know, if one of them at least is keeping an eye on the times. I mean, the gap is not massive. It is 3 seconds. So one respawn by Southern Speedsters or Bondesio could really put in a big toss-up here. But if Thomas makes a mistake, then this could be already over. But Trident slides, but catches it. So does Bondesio, but can Trident finish? He just needs to finish. Nothing more needed. He can crawl his way into the finish. And that is exactly what he does. And it secures Southern Speedsters their first track point. And it is a draw, but that's more than enough. 8-10. Southern Speedsters take their track point and take us to map 5. And it is going to be our first match on the broadcast that goes to map 5. So, you know, things to celebrate.
Well, there we go. I'm impressed. In fact, I think that's the first match for the entire weekend that's gone to a game 5. And what better way to take it than Control, breaking obviously the weakest map for Split Academy for now. I mean, everything else was so clean. 11-1, 10-2, 11-1. And then suddenly the turnaround. Is this the resurgence of Southern Speedsters? Yeah, unfortunately for them, goes back into the map pick of Split Academy. Still, Southern Speedsters, how well are they going to navigate the bobsleds and the very precarious jumps?
Yeah, but this is sort of the Split Academy. If there's one team that enjoys this map, it is Split Academy. I'm gonna be honest. Southern Speedsters really have their work cut out here. Bondesio does fall a bit behind already, but we'll see. Benoxy does clip the corner there, so it allows Trident to come into second position. I mean, this... Oh, but Trident really goes far and wide, and it is Split Academy in an ace position once again. I mean, everything considering, I will say that Split Academy, I will enjoy this map a lot more than Southern Speedsters. But again, Tomer is now the one with the mistake. So, I mean, who am I to speak?
Who knows if anyone's even enjoying this at this stage. This is such a sweaty fight. And just to remind everyone in the chat, or if you joined late, could very much be the deciding matchup to go into that wild card. Split Academy in the most comfortable position. Binoxi hits the identity at the very end. Trident doesn't have a very good start there, and trying to slide in over the roof, actually manages to right himself, secures, unfortunately not in time. And it is going to be the ace to start us off for Split Academy.
It is an ambitious try. You can make it directly there. It's not the faster option, because yeah, your car most likely is going to be very tilted, and you're going to land upside down, and it allows, yeah, Tomers to sneak in, get an ace, and get them up to speed on 3-0. But that is at least a good start for them. I feel like after that braking map, I mean, you really want to just, you know, close this out, be done with it. Nothing really complicated, and just secure a nice victory. I'm sure Split Academy would have loved to end it on a 4-0 as well, but they have to enjoy a bit of control, possibly to end this off. But I do believe Southern Speedsters are going to have a really tough time.
Yeah, Bundesio is still within a spitting distance, but certainly going to have to rely on Split Academy making some big mistakes. Binoxi and Thomas go straight into that. Trident, unfortunately, doesn't find the bobsleds as easily. Fortunately for Southern Speedsters, Split Academy in a very good position to take this ace again. It's going to come down to just this identity. Bondesio still not even close enough to worry out his opponents. It seems like both of them going to come through clean and clear. Split Academy 6-0 up.
That is as clean of a round as well. He went even for a very risky jump, which he really didn't need to, but you know, if you're comfortable with it, why not, you know? And it secures them an ace, and Southern Speedsters not able to cross the finish line for the round as well. So as much of a heroic performance it was on braking, I feel like the spark or the fizzle in the fire has slowly been burned out. That was as much as you're gonna get from them. But they can still try. But I feel like Split Academy, they are very good on this map, everything aside. So it's looking very good for them. They're getting back into a consistent field, a map they're comfortable with, and a map they enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't actually seen them in either of those rounds make any mistakes. And this is, in my opinion, out of the map pool, the hardest one to get the clear rounds throughout a consistency. And they're doing more than that. They're not just not making mistakes. They're not making mistakes anyway. There's very few times that we've seen any sort of checks on the wall. Their times are good. Their lines are great through this. And we're going to be going straight away into the identity once more. Thomas and Benoxy taking that first and second by a massive margin. And once more, no mistakes coming out there. Another ace on the board, and Split Academy really indomitable. In fact, this could, in fact, be the map that they use to overtake even someone like Molotov.
I mean, the last time Molotov Gaming and Split Academy played on this map, it went into overtime, and it was it was one of the most exciting tracks to cast at the time as well. So I mean, it's all looking good for Split Academy. Pondesio has a bit of a touch at the start, so I mean, Split Academy, they're just now enjoying. They're in the groove, having a good time. Trident is doing his best, like he's constantly with them. He's just has a few moments either on bobsleigh or a wall there and there, and that's where now the Split Academy show their consistency and why they are a very hard opponent sometimes, just to topple. You know, you can get a draw out of them, but it's very hard to really ace them unless they really have a tough time themselves.
Yeah, we talked about it at the beginning with Split Academy. They're a team that's looking stronger and stronger as we see Thomas just navigating the bobsleigh with a little bit of difficulty there. Still, Split Academy, all they need is 1 point at this to secure it. And they have been going from strength to strength. Really a great up-and-coming team. And one looking to close that gap between the second and third spaces. We see, unfortunately, are going down at the end there. Trident's not able to finish this off cleanly. We get the biggest deficit of the day so far, 12-0 in the 4 maps. Split Academy just showing that they're here to play.
Yeah, that's clean. That's as clean as you're gonna get. That is how you finish off a map after losing one. It was probably a tough loss to take. Still, you know, you don't really want to throw away any tracks at this point. But I mean, if that's the way to end it, I mean, that's the perfect way to do it. 12-0, and they move on to the next round. We'll have to see if there's anything else still going. We'll have to take a look. We possibly, if there's one match that most likely is going on still, it is Molotov Gaming versus Foot Esports, I feel like.
Yep.
We can take a quick look here in the game, and what you know it, the classic. One more round left to play with Foot Esports on match point and track point as well on breaking. And Ignite hits the wall. So unless miracles happen in the end, this is another classic. MEA gets one round of one match as Birdie goes into the water. But it doesn't matter. It is a victory for Molotov Gaming, but it is match and track point secured for Foot Esports. They take a 4-0 from Molotov Gaming. Molotov Gaming never get any closer to them. It's always maybe one track point, but so far it's always been a menace on their side.
An amazing story that's coming out of MEA. Just the consistency of the results that we see show that we pretty much have a good idea who's going through there. The big one being that Split, with that victory, get themselves a point closer. It's still going to come down to matchmaking, probably, unless something big happens in the rest this weekend where Split's able to take off an entire match and knock Molotov Gaming out. There's still the option. Our matches, though, are going to have to continue tomorrow. And the one that I'm most excited to see is going to be Split versus CI. That is going to be in your lower bracket semifinals. And there again, a chance for Split Academy to make that gap even closer. What a weekend this is going to turn out to be, my friend.
Oh, it's going to be a fun time. That is indeed for sure. I mean, there is Split Academy is basically on a run to steal some spots for the World Championship wildcard. CI is, of course, their first target on the board. And as you said, I mean, most likely at least, I mean, they played the first time around and... no, I say that mistakenly. They didn't play. It was CI and Southern Speeches. I mean, but the last time Split Academy and CI played in the previous regional, I mean, they did beat them. So, just saying, it's looking pretty good for Split Academy. But I think the bigger task for the next weekend is most likely gonna be Molotov Gaming. Can they cook it next time? But that was actually it. That is our production for today concluded. It went a lot quicker than expected. Gotta be honest. We really speed ran through these matches, and we're technically 1 hour ahead of schedule. But we gotta save some good fun for tomorrow as well.
Yeah, we got lots of games there. It's going to be the fact that we went through it so fast comes down to just the fact that everything was a 4-0 across the bracket except for Southern Speedsters versus Split Academy. Just the 1 point there for Southern Speedsters. So it makes it a very interesting play. I think tomorrow we're going to have a much closer series, at least that first one, Split Academy versus CI. But I do feel like Split Academy is deserving of that wildcard spot. They have just shown themselves to have such growth and such passion for this game. They have been putting in the work, and it's paying off for them. So that is going to be a story to start us off tomorrow before we get to see, I'm sure, more of those rivalries that you guys love to see.
I mean, we have pretty much 3 matches to go tomorrow. And if everything goes according to plan, plenty of excitement to come. But people get a bit of a break. For those who don't know, there was some changes to Challenger League schedule. There's going to be only 1 match today. But it is probably one of the more exciting ones for it as well. So later on today, in approximately 56 minutes, they will be live a bit earlier. But it will be, of course, Sprout going up against Alternate Attacks. Alternate Attacks looking to just go 7-0 and Challenger League comfortably in it. But we'll see how it goes. MEA is on tomorrow on the board. There's plenty of things happening today as well. So Trackmania is on the menu, boys and girls. Don't go too far. Hopefully you had a good time, Altruism. Anything to say for tomorrow for Split Academy or CI or any of the teams for tomorrow? Maybe insight some maps that we haven't seen today?
Well, I'm very interested to see it. Today we did see a much more diverse map pool than we did in the previous regional. You know, stuff like Vortex didn't come out, at least not on the stream. We did catch at the very end of it a little bit more. But I was enjoying seeing stuff like Frosty and Airwalk and even a lot more pool than I was expecting. So it's very interesting to see how these teams are starting to adapt very specific map choices against potential oppositions, maybe the weaknesses of their opponents. Maybe we've seen CI looking into this map and going, breaking is a chance. Breaking is a good chance for us to take it against Split. So they've got some homework to do tonight, I'm sure. If you guys are watching this in the future, the players, well done for your performances today. Get a good night's sleep, because tomorrow the action is going to be intense. I cannot wait to see it, and I can't wait to see every one of you in chat there as well.
Yeah, well, either way, that is going to be it for us. We have really delayed the end of this as well, but I mean, we had the time, we have enjoyed it, and we're going to enjoy it even more tomorrow. So enjoy the rest of your evening. Trackmania isn't ending for tonight just yet, and hopefully the Challenger League match will be also a good one. But for now, that will be it for us. See you tomorrow, and have a great evening.